Hi Stampers, this is Trevis. So today for our video, we're going to be using the new Eden's Garden collection. And I'm excited about it. I've made lots of cards with it already. I've even made a video showing how to make a wreath with my little sticky fingers. But today I'm going to be making a fun fold. And actually it's an easy fun fold. This is like a TriFold. But there are a lot of hints that I can give you when making the card. I'm going to talk a little bit first about the collection. So the bundle includes, of course, the stamp set and the dies. So they together would be $58, but you get a 10% discount if you purchase them together. So that would be $52. The Eden's Garden stamp set is 10 stamps. Okay. And then the dies, there are those 5 dies. Most of them are awesome large dies. So that's why there's only 5. And then there's the Ever Eden designer series paper and the cotton paper and the rhinestones. So those last 3 items are only available as long as supplies last. So when they're gone, they're gone. They will not be featured in the upcoming mini catalog, but the bundle will be. Okay. So the whole collection is $82, and I know some of you have already purchased it. So let's just talk about the stamps. So these are distinctive stamps, right? So they are like photographs, and then there's light and dark on the stamp that does the work for you, okay? So it's a little different than a stamp that's just, you know, solid, or a stamp that's you color in. I'm going to use my markers today, and I am going to color this, and you're going to see that, and I hope you like the way these distinctive stamps look. As I said, they are kind of an etched look, I'd say, not really like a solid stamp, okay? So I don't normally show the finished card, but I do want to show it to you today. It's going to be probably a lengthy video, but I do want to pique your interest so I don't lose you. And this is the card, okay? So this is the TriFold, and it would just open like this, okay? Nothing too tricky to it except the cut, right? You have to get the cut right. And then I am going to just start stamping, and so you will follow along. I did notice something in the big catalog. I noticed the designer series paper that's called Tidings of Christmas. And this was back ordered, but it's now available. And oh my gosh, this coordinates perfectly with the Ever Eden designer series paper. So when that paper is not available, this Christmas paper is still available. And yeah, it's gorgeous. And it has the same colors in it. It has cherry cobbler, it has soft succulent, it has evening evergreen, also has some misty moonlight, Sahara sand. Super beautiful. So this 6x6 paper is available now in the big catalog, and you may want to just take a look at it because it's so beautiful, right? All right, just wanted to mention that. So when I ordered, the rhinestones weren't available, and they're available now, but I don't have those, so I am going to substitute some other embellishments, or maybe I'll just wait till my order comes, but here nor there, let's get started. Okay, so here's the stamp set, and it has 10 stamps. It is red rubber, right? So I'm going to start stamping. So what I want to do is I am going to use my marker. So I have the 3 colors. I have soft succulent, evening evergreen, and cherry cobbler. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just use the brush tip of my markers. And if you haven't used markers in a while, they are awesome. They're water-based. And so what I'm just going to do here is color in this, and I'm going to use the side of my marker. Okay, so just to give you a heads up, you don't want to use the tip when you're using your blends or your markers. You don't want to use the tip, right, to color in, because it will kind of make your marker feather. I mean, if you've noticed, if you've done that with your blends and you've noticed, no, my blends don't look as good as they used to. Well, might be because you were a little hard on the tips. Okay, so these markers just last forever. I mean, a lot of people who have sets of markers, In fact, you can't buy them unless they're in sets now. So they have just mentioned how long these last, and I know it's true. They're awesome. Okay, so that looks pretty good, right? There's no big hurry because at the end you kind of put your hot breath on it, and it brings it back to life. Okay, so now I'm going to just take the Evening Evergreen marker, and I'm just going to add a little extra color to the edges, maybe to the like some of the veins of the flower of the leaves. So just gently going back in there and adding some more. And I can do this even after it's stamped. I can go back and you'll see what I probably will do this a little bit. I'm going to color in these stems like, okay, so I think those are like berries. I'm assuming some kind of berries. So I'm going to leave those until the end when I do those in the cherry cobbler. Okay, take cherry cobbler now. Now, so these are dual tip. This is the brush tip, and this is the very pointy tip, the kind of writing tip. And they're called Stampin' Write markers. You can get the whole set of in colors. There's 5 of them in a set. And you can't buy them separately, so you need to buy them as a set. Now, this one is part of the cherry cobbler is not part of the in color. The cherry cobbler is part of the whole big collection. Okay. Looking pretty good. I don't want to leave too many gaps. So you're going to see, now if you do get any of, say, the dark green ink on here, you can just, go like this on your paper and it'll take it away. Okay, so I'm going to blow on this, stamp it. Ooh, I like it. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, say, for example, you had that on your Stamparatus and you weren't happy with it, you could ink it up some more with your markers and then stamp it again. So there's an option. While I have the markers out, I'm going to give this a little more definition. So I'm just going to come back. All right, so now you can see, and I'll hold this up to the camera more so you can see it. But wowee, I like it. I think I don't need to do too much more, actually. Okay, so there is the finished stamped image. Now, as you can see, it is that distinctive stamp. So you're not going to get that really solid look that if you're looking for it. Now, we don't have a die to cut this out. The dies, the 5 dies we've talked about in the past. We have this one, we have this one, the edge, we have the little one, and then I also have this one. Okay, so there is no die to cut out that flower, so I'm just going to cut that out real quick. And I'm just going to fussy cut. I'm not going to do it real super tight. I'm just going to do it kind of leaving a white edge. I kind of like the white edge, and it's going to look cool too when I actually put it on my designer series paper by leaving that white edge. I mean, you could cut it tighter if you like. If that's your thing, then go for it. But if it's not, it's so easy to do it this way. Okay. So you can see where I came over on those edges and did it with the Evening Evergreen marker. Can you see how dark the edges are? Yes, and some of the veining. That's where I just did it darker on the stamp. So much you can do with markers, right? You can, I could spritz this when I was done. I could spritz that with water, do it on watercolor paper, and really make it look cool. You can use your, really blends don't work that good because they are alcohol-based and these are water-based. So these give you a little extra time to play. Okay, so there is my finished flower. Now I'm going to stamp the Dear Friend, How Are You? I'm going to stamp that in Evening Evergreen on just a little strip of cardstock. It's going to be really tight. I want it tight, okay? So I don't want it to be Hope my head's not in the way. I don't want a lot of white on the upper and lower. I want it tight like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to fishtail it, right? So I can do this, this, this. All right. And then I'm going to use my, whoa, my dauber. And this has got Evening Evergreen on it. I'm just going to dauber a little edge on here. This is something we used to do all the time, is do sponging on the edges. It really has lost its appeal, apparently, because nobody does it anymore. All right, now I did a little extra legwork. I cut this out of gold foil, okay? So I cut this die out, and then I cut this out, okay? So, and it does have adhesive sheets on the back, so that's ready to go. I also cut a white one, right? So the white one, believe it or not, I'm going to use the inside. And I'm going to stamp my favorite saying from the stamp set. And it says, my heart, hang on, it says, my heart is tied to yours, tug if you need anything. Ugh, love that. So I'm going to stamp that in Cherry Cobbler. This looks like trash, right? Well, I'm going to see how cool this looks when it's done. All right, done with that. I think I'm done with the stamp pads, actually. Yes, I am. Okay, so I used Evening Evergreen, Cherry Cobbler, and Soft Succulent, in case you're wondering. I think I told you that, but okay, so I'm done with the stamps. Okay, so how do we make that cool fold? Well, that is easy to do. So this is the Designer Series paper that I'm going to be using. Okay, so this is from the Ever Eden paper, Designer Series paper. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to measure hang on a second. Let's do this first. I'm going to use a piece of Evening Evergreen. This is 5.5 by 11. Okay, so you're going to cut this. This piece is going to be cut. I'm going to mark it at 2 1/4. Okay, I don't have a pen, but I'm going to use the marker. 2 1/4. I believe that's right. Make sure. There's it, 2 1/8. No, it's 2 1/4. Okay, so when you put it in your paper cutter, just mark 2 1/4. Where did I? 2 1/4, and then put it in your paper cutter. And so our paper cutter is awesome. This is so easy to use. Has the scoring blade and the cutting blade. So 2 1/4. Place this at 2 right here, and then this one is going to be all the way down. I hope you can see all the way down to the end, right in the cutting blade. Cut. Now, I want to score. The next thing I want to do is I want to score at 3 3/4. Okay, so I want the cutting blade out of the way. So I wanted 3 3/4. Okay, and then my next score is at 7.5. So if you can see, but I'm going to scoot this over to 7.5. Oops. Okay, so what I have now is I have this and this. Okay, now that's kind of narrow for a card, so I'm going to put that on a card base. And the piece of card base that I chose here, I hope I have the right size, is, oops, 5.5 by 4. It's a little bit shy of a normal size. Usually we do 5.5 by 4 1/4, but today we're just doing that. Okay, So we have that done. That's our base. That's our back. Now we have this piece of designer series paper. And this is measuring 12 by 5. Okay, so you can get 2 cards out of one piece. All right, and I love it. So both sides. And then I'm going to cut this one at 2. So I'm going to measure this one at 2. 2, right? Make sure I get this right because I want this, yeah. So 2, I need to do it with a ruler. I'm not that great with doing it that on here. Okay, so I'm going to measure this at 2. All right, and I'm going to cut off a piece of this, right? Because this is 12 inches. I don't need 12 inches. I only need 10.5 inches. So I'm going to cut off this little end. I'm going to use it later, so don't get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to use this later. But now I'm going to go ahead and I have, where's my 2 inches? Did I mark it? Can't see it if I did. Yes, I did. Okay, it's right there. 2 all the way to the edge. Okay, so can you see that I'm doing the same thing I did with the other piece? All right, we're done with that. Now what I want to do is, and I don't really need to score this piece. I'm going to show you my little trick. This is a little trick. Okay, so if you want to layer it, okay, so this was 2 1/4, this is 2, right? I'm not going to glue it all down because when you fold it, it tends to buckle. So what I would suggest is just gluing part of it. So just glue the first third like that. Okay, and then fold it and use your bone folder. Okay, and then glue the second piece down. And the reason is because, and it looks like I have extra, oh, that's good. I have extra on the edge, that's okay. And the reason is because you don't want that buckle, right? Okay, and then go ahead and fold it. Just like that, and now do your last piece. If you do it that way, you shouldn't get too much buckle. Mine didn't buckle the first time. Okay, so you have that. Now you have this showing, right? So you have extra pieces that you cut off, right? And so you can use that now if you want. Let's see. How's it going to work? I got this upside down. Where's the piece? Okay, I'm losing my mind. Hang on a second. Well, it worked on my other one. I don't know why it didn't work on this one. Oh, there it is. Hello. I'm scared I'm losing it. Okay, so I'm going to cut this piece that I have here, and I'm going to cut it down to... Oh, Trevis. Sometimes I get a little worked up on, for no reason, 3 1/2. So I'm going to cut this 3 1/2. Turned upside down so it's flat. And cut this at 3 1/2. Now I'm going to glue this down. Because I want this side to show. And then remember this piece that I said we were going to, this extra piece? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach that at the bottom. So I'm going to cut this 3 1/2 also. There is a lot of cutting on this card, but I think it's worth it. Okay, I think I'm done cutting. And now we just have assembly. All right, so 3 1/2, there we go. Okay, So what you see in the front is this, but then if they go like this, it's not just dark cardstock. It's actually cute designer series paper. Okay. Now, the last thing we want to do is we want to attach this to our, wow, did I cut that? Oh my gosh, what did I do? Well, we're going to make it work. Oh, I'm going to cut a little of this off. That's right. So if you have this extra piece here, you're just going to cut this off. I'm going to cut off about that much. Okay, so it doesn't hang over the top. Yes, that looks better. Perfect. Okay, so let's attach this. Hey, you know, you got to work through the weird stuff. Okay. And then I have a tiny piece of designer series paper, a little sliver of this that I cut off of something. Who knows? And I'm going to attach that right here just to make it, okay, so that it just has, why waste it anyway? It's a cute little piece of paper. And it actually draws your eye in. Okay, so we have this now, right? So we're going to attach this. And you could pop it up if you want. I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and glue it down. I'm not going to glue at the very top right here because that's going to be hanging over. And if you do that, they might not be able to open their card, right? Okay, so I'm going to attach the little dear friend. How are you? And I'm not going to pop that up either. Just not going to do dimensionals right now. I'm just going to put this right here. Okay. So what I did was I moved it. I actually did this flush with the card base. And when you open it, that will like hang over a little, but that's good. We like that. Now comes the fun part. And I had a little difficulty with this, I should admit, when I made my first card. And the reason is because, okay, so the first thing you want to do is, it's going to be like paper pieced, right? So this piece fits inside of here, right? So you want to make sure they're not the same on both. So you want to make sure before you glue this down that you have your saying going the right way. Hello, if you don't, you will be bummed. Okay, so I'm going to peel this off, peel the backing off. So this has sticky on it. This is a sticky sheets, adhesive sheets. And sometimes hard to get started. Don't want you to get it started. It makes it easier than gluing. There we go. Okay. So what I want to do is I want it to be right in that fold because this is, well, it would fit on this side, but I think it'll be okay. I think we should do it right in the fold. Okay. So we're going to just glue this part down, right? And then we're going to go right to the fold. Okay, I hope you can see that, right to the fold. And then we're going to actually let the card do the work. Okay. And it looks like it, well, I think it'll be okay. It won't open. It might pop a little when it opens, but I think it'll be okay. And then I'm going to put adhesive on here. And it's crooked. What the heck? Did you guys see that? You probably said, Travis, it's crooked. Why did that happen? I don't even know. So I'm going to stick this in. Did I do that wrong? I did it right. Okay. I was going to say, did I do that upside down? No. Oh, I don't know. I'm so nervous because I did do it wrong. Hang on. I have to face this towards me. Sorry. Let's put this down first. Put our saying down first. That might make it easier, Trevis. Okay, then we can add this. So if you did this right, this should fit right in the little blanks. And then, and if your cardstock was white, you wouldn't have to do this, right? Because you would be able to stamp right on the cardstock. But our cardstock wasn't white and it wouldn't show up, okay? Now, I do have this little piece and I want to add this. So this was the extra little, I had some gold from the center. Let's get rid of that trash. I had some gold from the center of my die. So I wanted to add some of that. Okay, so there is our finished card. Now, I did on my card, I did add some pearls. I added the pastel pearls. So these were in Rococo Rose. And I don't think I'm going to add them on this one because I'm waiting for those rhinestones. I really want to feature those rhinestones. So I think I'm just going to wait and I'll add those cherry cobbler rhinestones. All right, isn't that so sweet? I love that card. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's lengthy, but it's worth it. And I will talk to you later. Bye.